Hi, this is Jimmy from the Productive Engineer, and today I'm going to be showing you how to create a habit tracker inside of Notion. Notion is one of my favorite tools to use, and we all want to track our habits, try to do things better, try to make some resolutions, try to improve ourselves. And I'm going to show you how to do that inside of Notion. There are many different ways to do it in Notion, but I'm actually going to be using a main habit database as well as several linked databases to show you various views of that data to customize it to the way you want. So stay tuned. Now, before we get started, if you like this video, please click the like button. It really helps my channel out and really shows YouTube this video is worth watching. If you want to see more of my content, please click the subscribe button. And if you're actually just getting started with Notion or just looking to brush up on your skills, I highly recommend you check out my beginner's guide to Notion. I'll link it up above. It takes you from being a total beginner all the way to being able to really get things done inside of Notion. And lastly, if you want to be notified when I release new videos, please click the bell. Thanks. Okay, let's get started. So the first thing you want to do is open up Notion to a blank page. And the first thing I normally do whenever I'm building something inside Notion is I lay out my structure. I mentioned earlier that I'm going to be building a main database that's going to hold all of my habits, and then a series of linked databases that essentially act as custom views for my habit tracker. So let's call this page the habit tracker main page. And now we're going to create our first database here. So what I'll do is I'll type slash and I'll type table, and I have two options here, a inline or a full page. I'm actually going to put this on a dedicated page, so I'm going to choose the full page option here. As you can see over here, it actually says create a table as its own page. So select that one, and then we're going to call this our central habit database, or DB for short. And now I have my default table, as you can see in my default table view, and I have my three current columns, name, tags, and files. We're going to change each of these. So the first one I'm going to change is this name one. I want to call that, I actually want to make that habit that I'm trying to create here. So I'm going to call this habit. I'm going to leave it as the title. You have to have a title property, so I'll leave that in there. Now, where it says tags here, it's a multi-select. I'm going to change that to a single select. And I'm going to turn it, actually I should have did it the first time, into a category. Because a lot of times you might have a health, like various habits you want to work on, like educational, productivity, health, exercise, whatever categories you want to create. So in this case, I'm going to be doing three different habits just to give you a feel for how you would set this up. I'm going to be doing a reading habit, a water intake habit, and an exercise habit. And I need work on all three of those. So these are actually probably apropos for me. So we'll call this a category. Now, where it says files here, we're not going to have a files column. It doesn't make sense for a habit database. I mean, it could, I guess, if you had like an exercise manual, or if you were reading and you had like the ebook or something, you could potentially put it in there. But I don't think that's necessary. So I'm going to call this by date, because I want to have a date field. So obviously it's a habit tracker, so I want to track that. So I'm going to call that date function, and I'm going to actually move that by clicking on it and dragging it to the beginning. I'm going to put it to the far left because I want to be able to, the date's the most important thing in the habit tracker. Make sure you're doing that thing every day. So now I have my three basics. I'm going to put in my first habit, and I'm going to put in my water drinking habit. I don't drink enough water, and it's always good to track that if that's a habit you're trying to develop. So let's call this water goal, and I'm going to give that a number, obviously. And actually, you know, let's change this water goal. We'll put it in cups. How many cups of water am I having a day? And then here, I want to track what I actually do in that day. So water drank cups. And also make that a number. So pretty straightforward, right? So for example, I would put in today's date, the habit that I'm trying to develop here, and my category. I have my water goal, and then how many I drank. But I want to compare these two, right, to figure out whether I actually made it. So when I'm looking back at my data, I can actually see, okay, how many days did I actually hit my goal? How many days did I fall short? So we're actually going to use a formula to do that. And it's a pretty simple formula. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to type in water goal met. and a question mark. And for property type, I'm going to come down here to the advanced and select formula. And now you say, well, how do I add that? So what I'm going to do here, let's just populate this real quick. So let's say I want to drink 8 cups of water a day, and I actually drank the 8 cups. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to click on the field here under my column, and it's going to bring up the formula creator. And I'm going to start with a very simple if, parenthesis, and then I'm actually going to pick my water drank one property greater than or equal to, and then I'm going to choose my water goal, then comma, then I'm going to say true, and then comma false, and I'm going to close it. And what this is saying here is if the water I drank is greater than or equal to the number of cups of my water goal, then this statement is going to be true. If that's not true, in other words, my goal is higher than the amount of water I actually drank, it's going to be false. You say, well, what is this going to do? Well, the cool thing about Notion is when you build something like this, it will put a checkbox in there and either check it if it's true or uncheck it if it's false. So when I hit done here, you can see that I have this check mark blocks. Now, to show you that this works, let's say if I come up here and I say I only drank 6. Notice it goes away. But if I come up here and let's say I put 10, it checks the box. So that's really cool. So as you can see here, I now have my water goal set up pretty cool here. Now the other thing I could do is I can let's say not only don't want to track whether I met the goal, but how far along in the day, because I might be updating this throughout the day as I drink water, at what percent am I in terms of fulfilling my goal. So here I can come up over here and I can say percent complete and turn this into a formula. And then I can come here and I can say water drank divided by water goal. Hit done. And scroll over a little. Actually, let me widen this a little bit so you can see it. And then I say it's 1. So Jim, that's not a percent. That's a number. The way you change the format of the number is if you hover over, for the column, if you hover over the first, or any of these really, and you click this little 1, 2, 3 button, you'll see when you hover over it, that shows up. That's the number formatting. So I can come here and I can make it currency, I can make it a number with a comma, or I can make it a percent. So when I click percent, it gives me the percent. You see it's 100%. Let's say I only drank 5. As you can see, it changes to 62.5. If I did 2, it's 25%. But let's say I drank all of it, it's 100%. So right away, I have my first one in here, which is really cool. And so the next thing I want to do is to build my next one, which is going to be my reading one. So I will come over here and add a column for page goal. And it's going to be a number. And then I'll click over here, scroll over a little bit here, make it a little easier. I'll click here and make this actual pages red. Turn that into a number. And then we can do the exact same thing as we did last time. So I can actually come over here to my next column. I know this is getting really wide, but that's why we're going to do linked databases, and I'll show you how to hide columns later. But here I can actually create my formula that says reading goal met, question mark, make that a formula. And I'm going to do the exact same thing as I did before. So here, let's say I wanted to read 50 pages, and let's say I read the 50 pages, just so we can see that this actually works. I'm going to come here, I'm going to type in my if statement. I'm going to say if my actual pages, space, greater than or equal to my page goal. I'm going to hit my comma, true, false, and then close my parenthesis. You have to close that parenthesis. And the way you know that this is a valid formula is if that done button is no longer grayed out. Because if I come here, as you can see, you notice it's grayed out, But if I hit that parenthesis, now it's not grayed out anymore. And I can hit either Command Enter or Control Enter on Windows, or just hit the done button, which I'll do here. And as you see, that my goal, it shows I met my goal. If I came over here and changed this to 25 pages, you see it goes away. So I'm going to leave it at 50 for now. And we're going to add our percent complete column. So let's say reading percent complete, and then it'll come here, make a formula, do the same things we did last time. We'll take the actual pages divided by page goal, hit done, scroll over, and you can see that that's showing out as 1. We'll do the same thing we did last time, turn it to a percent, and you can see it's a percent. And now, just to show you that works, let's say I make it 70. Let's say I go crazy. I actually did 140% of my reading completion, so I'm actually over. If I make it 34, you can see it's 68%. So for now, we'll make it 30. Let's say we didn't meet our goal that day. And that's how we do our reading goal. And lastly, let's do our exercise. And I'm going to do my exercise one as steps, because I'm not the most athletic person in the world. And B, I think we all, at some level, like to track our steps as tracking our level of movement throughout the day. So we're going to do this one more time. So I'm going to come in here in a new column, and let's call it steps taken. Make that a number. Scroll over. Let's say our steps goal, make that a number. And let's say my steps goal is 10,000 steps. You hear that number a lot. And let's say, just so we test it again to make sure it works, 10,000 steps were actually taken. We'll add our column here. That's a formula. That's our steps goal met, question mark. Make it a formula. Click on it. Do our if, scroll down here to steps taken greater than or equal to our steps goal, comma, true, else false. That's basically how, and then close the parenthesis. And again, to just reiterate what's happening here, it's an if statement that's comparing this, that's evaluating this right here. This, all it's saying is, if I've taken more steps, if the value of the steps taken column is bigger or the same as the steps goal, then I'm going to say that this is true. And if it's not, if steps goal is bigger, in other words, I didn't get all my steps in during the day, then it's false. That's all it's doing. It's evaluating, and it's giving two options here, the true and the false. If it's true, it'll check the checkbox. If it's false, it'll be an empty checkbox. We'll hit OK, scroll over a little bit here, and you can see, let's say I did only 7,500 steps. You can see it checks marks, goes away, back to 10,000. It checks, the check comes on. Now we'll do our percentage. Let's say percentage of steps goal being met. It's quite the wordy one. We'll do another formula. Click in here, and we'll just scroll over it first, actually, so you can see it. Click in here, formula. We selected the formula, so we'll click on the value here, and all we have to do is take steps taken divided by our steps goal. Come there, and as you see, because it's the same, we come over here, make it a percent, and that's 100%. And one of the things you might be wondering is, well, you did it for this column. Do I have to do it for every single cell in that column? The answer is no. Once you do it in one, that format automatically gets assigned to the rest. So whatever one you assign, it goes to the rest in that particular column. So, and there we are. So we have our steps goal, our reading goal, and our word goal. So all three of them are in here. Now that's great, but what if I don't want to, actually, let's go in here real quick, and then let's delete it. And I'm going to show you why in a second. So now everything's set up. We have our word goal, our reading goal, and our steps goal all in one database. But as you know, you may have defaults. You want to make this as automated as possible. So when I want to add a new entry here, what I can do, actually, let's open these pages here. We'll just delete these as well. And I want to show you the reason why I want to do this. So I'm going to hit open, and I'm going to delete. And as you can see, I don't have an interest in here anymore. I'm going to come in here. I'm going to click New Template. When I click on this new button here, I'm going to click on this drop down and click New Template. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a couple of template pages depending on what I'm doing. So I'm going to create, let's do the water one first. So this is a water goal. And here, I'm going to create a category for it called hydration, for example. And then, obviously, none of these matter for me. But water drank, well, that's going to vary by day. But my water goal is always going to potentially be 8. So now I can have this here. And I can close this out. And now you can see I have this water goal one as an option. And if I click that, it's going to give me a page. And I'm going to just say, drink water. And let's say I wanted to say today. And I can come down here, skip all these ones because it doesn't matter to me. And I'm going to come down here to how many cups I actually drank. So let's say I drank 8. And there we go. And I can click off. And look what it did. It gave me in my entry. And it populated everything I had here. So that gives me the ability to have everything that I'm doing here. Now you can also fill each one of these out on one line, but that kind of messes up the template. So let's make another template for our reading. So let's do a new template. And let's call this our reading template. Or sorry, maybe page. Let's call it reading. And we'll call this reading. And we'll skip all this, and we'll say, let's say our page goal every day is to read 50 pages of something every day. And I'm not going to fill the rest of these out, and just close out. And as you can see, now I have a reading goal. So if I click on that, I can say, read Moby Dick. Let's say I actually read only 45 pages that day. Actually, let's be optimistic. Let's say I read 60 that day. You can see it automatically checks it and automatically populates my percentages because all that's already predefined. So now I click off, and you can see, oops, I forgot to give it I can actually come in here real quick. I forgot to give it a date. So let's say this was also today. And as you can see, now I have a reading option and a hydration option for that day. And you can see everything's populated. My page goal, my actual page is read, whether I exceeded my goal, which I did, and then my percentage of completion. All of that gets populated. And lastly, let's do one more for our steps. So coming here, let's say steps template. Category, let's make it exercise. And one of the cool things you can do here, as you can see, like exercise is like dark gray, that's light gray. Let's change this color. So I'm actually going to come over here to this ellipses over here. And then actually I could choose a more vibrant color. So let's make it red. There we go. And now it's red. Here in my date, I'm going to leave that alone because this is for the template, not for each individual one. I'm going to come down here, and where's my steps? Steps goal. Here we go. 10,000. So I have my goal and my label, and I click off here, and now I have my 3. It always gives you this default page, this empty page one. I haven't figured out how to get rid of it, so I might just leave it at the bottom. So let's say I want to add my steps. I click that, and let's say walked in Central Park. Let's say today, which I don't live in New York City, so this is a lie. I didn't really do much walking at all today, but let's not judge each other. Let's go down here to steps taken, and let's say I was slacking today. I only did 9,000 steps. I did actually way less than that, but as you can see, the percentage of steps taken is at 90% because 9,000 is 90% of 10,000. So you can see that clicks out, and then I come over here. You can see walk in Central Park up top, and if I scroll over on the top line, you'll see my values. You'll see I didn't make my goal, but let's say I said, I feel really guilty. I'm going to go make my goal. So let's say I want 10,000 50. As you can see, I got a little over 100%. I met my goal. So that shows you how to do it. Now we're going to get into the linked database section. I'm also going to put in some more entries here just so you can sort of see how this works. So I'm going to go off camera and do that. Okay, so I'm back. I've pre-populated all the data for the last several days into this database. And now I'm going to show you how to build some link views to understand how to slice and dice this data to see only the thing that you want to see in a given view. So I'm going to go back to my main page. I'm going to come down here. I'm going to type slash heading. Actually, you know what? Let's like slash page. Create a new page. Today view for habits. DB. Because what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create a linked database to our habits database that only shows me the things that I'm working on today. So what I'm going to do is type slash LINK for link. And as you can see, I have 3 options when I do that. And I want this create linked database. What a linked database is, it's basically a pointer or a reference or a view of an existing database. So what you can do is you can actually create these custom views that you can actually input data into, and then that'll auto-populate into the actual database. So think of it as almost like another access point into the existing database. And then the reason why you want to do this, because then you can create these custom views that always exist, like a today view, and it references that database, and you're able to, for lack of a better term, you're able to just see what you want to see, but that thing that you're seeing is part of the bigger database, and it's actually just a customized view. So you basically allows you to sort and view only what you need to see in a given moment. I actually have a video on how to create and use linked databases, which I'll link above. Check it out if you want more information, but this is going to be a pretty good demo here. So let's give it a shot. I'm going to hit create linked database. And then the first thing it's going to ask me for is what database do I want? Remember, it started with central. So I start typing central, and it brings me to anything that matches central. I have a central habit database, so I'm going to select that. It populates my data in here. And what I'm going to do is, right now it's showing me all the dates. I don't want all the dates, I just want today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a filter. And the way I create a filter is I come over here to the ellipses, which is the 3 dots. And when I hover over this, and I click it, and I go down to filter. And now I have my filter menu, and I'm going to click it, add filter. Now, depending on what kind of filter you're building, you either want a filter group, which is a group of nested filters, or just a simple filter. I'm going to create a simple filter for this because I just want everything for today. So I'm going to click add a filter, and then it gives me this sort of matching criteria. So what I want to match on is on date. So I'm going to come down to date, and then that changes this. And then when I click on is, I have is before, is after, a bunch of these. I'm going to say is because I want today. Date is, and then where it says exact date, I could, where I could specify a date here if I wanted to. Instead, what I do is I click on this one where it says exact date, and I can sit there and say, well, what was yesterday? Well, tomorrow doesn't make sense because I'm tracking habit. A week ago, a month ago, or an exact date like we have. I'm going to say today. And when I do that, and I click off, you can see that I have my view here. So what I could do now is I can actually come up here, and there's certain things I don't want to see. Like, I know today's the 12th if it's today. So what I can do is I can come up here to properties by clicking on this, again, hovering over, clicking the ellipses, and then clicking on properties. I can hide certain things I don't want to see anymore. So I don't want to see the date, I can hide that. If I don't want to see the category, I can hide that. If I don't want to see the actual goals, because I know what they are, so I can come down here and where it says goals, I can take those out. And then what I might want to do is, let's say I want to see percent complete first, right after habit. I can move that up, for example. I can move my percentages up, so I can move each of these up here. And where's the other percentage? And then maybe the next thing I want to see is whether I met the goal. So let's see. Reading goal, steps goal, and then water goal. Let's just do these in order. So, and as you can see, by doing that, I can see that my steps goal is at 129%. Apparently I was killing it. 142%, 112%. And as you see, all those goals were met for each of those categories. So pretty cool. pretty quick way you can do that. The other thing you could do is, let's say I just want to see all of my hydration. So let's do heading. And let's just see water goals for last week. So this is going to show me all my water goals for the last week, right? So I can sit here and type slash and linked again to create my linked database. I'll type in central habit, just like that. And then now I'm going to build another filter. So I'm going to click on this ellipses, click the filter again, and here I'm going to create a filter group because it's a little more complicated. And what I want is I want the category to be the hydration, because that's my water one. So that, when I do that, you notice that it redrew my table, my linked database here, to just show me the water ones. I'm going to add another filter and date. Let's try within the past week. That's probably the easiest way. And as you can see, it shows me everything for the week. And then I can do a sort. And add a sort. And I can do date. And now it's showing me 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, right? Gives me everything for the week. Gives me my goals. And then, again, because in this scenario, I only want to see the water things, I can hide everything that's not water. So I can go back to properties, click on like pages read. I don't need category. I'll keep date, page goal, steps, reading, steps. And now I just have my water stuff. So I can see very quickly my water goals for the last week. I can see that right here. And I certainly, if I removed the week filter, it would just show me everything. But typically you want to see it in the last week, maybe the last month. I already have a week's worth in here, so I'm going to do last week. And I can do the same thing down here. So one of the things you can do, let's go back to our main page actually. So I might create a new page that's all about my steps, right? Steps dashboard. And what I can do here is type linked, actually heading. And let's say, so I might do steps data for last 7 days as an example. Type slash linked and then type in central. And as you see, because I've been using it, central habit database comes up. It shows me the whole database. As you might guess, we're going to do a filter real quick, and we're going to filter on filter group where category is exercise. Add a filter, easy, and date is within the past week. All right, so it shows me the last 7 days, which is good. So 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yep, so that's right. And then, again, like we did last time, we then want to hide the properties we don't care about. So this is steps data, so we're going to hide pages, we're going to hide category, we're going to hide, we'll keep date, page goal, percent complete, step goals there, reading goal, steps goal, steps taken, and then these get hidden. And then the other thing I can do here is, let's say the thing I want to see is whether I met my goal first. I can click and drag that over. And then I can sit there and see, let's say, steps taken, steps goals. So you can rearrange the columns to the way you want them to be. And you have this nice little dashboard that shows you everything you need for that, right? And let's say you just wanted to see today's steps. We'll do heading. Steps taken today. And then the same thing. You can actually type in linked. Man, if I can stop fat fingering it. Linked, same thing. Hit C, central to database. Create filter. Filter group. The first thing I want, obviously, is my category is going to be exercise. Filter. And date is today. And now show me, and then I can come through here again real quick and just hide everything. Like, I don't care about pages, category. I actually don't care about date because this is just showing me today. Page goal, percent complete, steps, reading. Oops. Doop. That should be everything. And then I can say, let's just say I don't even want to see any of this. I just want to see how many steps I've taken today. So I can actually go in properties and then hide everything but steps. Because sometimes you just want that quick view of where you are. So there's my steps. So here it shows me my entry and then my steps for today. That's probably what I'm most concerned about. And then my steps data for the last 7 days. As an example, I can go back. And now you can kind of start seeing how you build out databases. So I can do one more. So let's do another page. And let's do reading dashboard. Heading pages read today / linked. And then you can do C, and it'll give you your database. I'm flying through this admittedly because I don't want to bore you at this point. I'm going to do a quick filter. We're going to create a filter group because we have a compound filter, and where my category is reading. Add a filter. You want to make sure when you're adding these filters, it's an and, not an or, because an or would be, if I left this as or, what would happen is this: if this or this, if one of these is true, show it. But I want not only for my category to be reading, but I also want the date to be today. And then obviously it shows me everything again, and then you just come in. Sounds like a lot of work what I'm doing right now, but once you have this set up, you never have to touch it again. You just go in and enter. And let's go through here. So actual pages, we can hide category, we can hide date, we can hide all this. The reading stuff will leave. Steps, all this stuff here can go away. And actually, you know what? Let's hide everything but actual pages read. And that's pretty cool, right? So we can do that real quick. And the other real cool thing here, which I'm going to show you, is let's say I want to add another entry for tomorrow. Now, I could go in here, hit my steps template. Right, let's say today was the 13th, which it isn't, but let's say it was. I can say steps taken 10, 13, 20, right? And then I could go in, say the 13th. And let's say I took 9,000 steps. All right, and I bail out. Notice it doesn't show up in my database here because it's not today. The way to see it is to go back to our main database, our central database. And if I sort, and I change it to date descending, so you can see at the top. As you can see, I now have steps taken for 1013. If I scroll over, you see my 9,000 steps I put in, and it automatically calculates everything in here. So that's really cool. The other thing you can do is we can go back and let's say I wanted to do a quick steps entry here. So what I'll do is I can do a couple things here. I can come down here, hit new, and just type in a new entry, and it has all the fields I need. Or I can simply create a very custom, so let's do heading, steps, quick entry. I'll create my linked database, and I'll do C for central habit database. And all I'm going to filter on here, I'm going to do a filter. And what I'm going to do is add a filter. And all I'm going to say is category is exercise. And I'm going to hide everything But the date and the steps taken. And the reason why I do it like that is because what that allows me to do now is, let's say I wanted to create an entry for October 15th, which is the future. But let's say steps taken 10, 15, 20. I could pick that date, and then I can put in the steps I took. So I could sit there and say 8,000 steps. I was lazy that day. That's all I have to do. And that just shows me what I have there. Now, obviously, you can't see it here, but let's say I wanted to have a view of my steps, all my steps database. So I can do heading, and let's say steps database view. As an example, type the linked database, and then I can actually do C, central habit database, and all I'm going to do is do a very simple filter here of where my filter just says category is exercise, and then I'm going to filter. So filter, I'm going to sort. I'm going to add sort by date, and I'll leave it ascending. And then, as you can see, I have all this stuff here, and then obviously, like we did last time, I'm just going to hide all the so like pages, category, I'll leave the date in, page goal, percent complete, I'll leave the steps, and I'll actually move that up a little bit. Steps goals being met, actually right after habit. I want that after habit, maybe after date. And then hide. Don't care about the reading goals. So I might say my step goal should go here. My steps taken should go here. The steps goal met should be the first thing maybe I see, right? And hide the rest. And then now you see, when I finally click off, sorry, it took a little bit. I have a bunch of stuff here. As you can see, I actually don't have any steps data here. I must have messed up. So what I'll do is I'll just come in here. The one place I can edit. Let's say I did 12,000 steps that day. I don't know what happened here, but let's say 10. I must have lost my equation real quick. And then here the same thing, hit open. For whatever reason, it's forgotten my steps goal. Let's put 10,000. And as you can see, I now have all my data, and you can see when I've met the goal, when I haven't met the goal. So I can see how many days I met or didn't meet my goal. And let's say for the last week, the last 7 days, let's say I wanted to know what my average percentage of completion. So I can come here to calculate. If I hover over this category, I can see this calculate, and I can say average. And I can see that I was slightly above. Let's say for the week, my steps goal for the week was, let's say sum. I can see that, so 70,000, 10,000 a day times 7 days. And let's see how many steps I actually took. I can hit calculate, do sum here. And then, and as you can see, I have my 3 things here. Now let's say I wanted to see how often, what percentage of the time I met my goal. I could come in here, percentage checked. You can see I met my, obviously it wasn't a great week. I only met my percentage, my steps goal, 57% of the days, right? Pretty cool. As you can see, you can do the same thing for here. You can say average steps I took. Oops. Come down here, hover, calculate, sum, and you can see the various data. And the same thing here, you can do percentage checked and see it was a little better in the total view. So I hope this was helpful to you in terms of what some of the things you could do with databases to track your habits you want to form. I tried to give you a little bit of formulas, a little bit of calculations, and linked databases, because I think that that's the power of Notion. That's where it can help you in this context to be able to really sort of parse out all your data and just see the things you want to see. I know a lot of times as these databases get bigger and bigger, you can lose the forest from the trees. And the ability to narrow down on what you want to see and create these dashboards and really be able to sort of just get in there and quickly create these little dashboard items that allow you to quickly edit data, calculate data, can really be powerful as you're trying to track what you're doing. If you like this video, please click the like button. It really does help out my channel. If you want to see more of my videos, please click the subscribe button. I do lots of Notion videos, lots of videos on various other applications. And I have playlists for each of them, so you should check my channel out. And lastly, if you want to be notified when I release a new video, please click the bell. Thanks.